Welcome back to the Melton Morning Show, to our Keep It PC segment. Once again, a big thank you to the Park City Chamber Bureau. I have in studio with me Glenn Johnson with Adaptive Design Group. How are you this morning, Glenn? It's great to have you here.
Very good, Chelsea. It's wonderful to be here.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure just walking into the studio, you could maybe think of, well, any place you walk into, you could probably survey and think, oh, I know a better light could go here or there, and it kind of all comes to you. And so I'm really excited to have you here to share with us your experiences and what you can offer our viewers. I was taking a look at your photos and your website. You have worked with quite some spectacular organizations and people, and I wanted to mention your firm, Adaptive Design Group. You provide architectural lighting design, lighting controls design, and electrical engineering for the custom home market. And I wanted to mention this book you have here. It's actually in a lot of colleges around. Can you hold that up and share that with us?
Certainly. This book is titled The Art of Illumination, Residential Lighting Design, and it's published in 1999 by McGraw-Hill, and this is utilized in 22 universities' course studies for the artistic approach to illumination.
Well, I'm excited to get a little course in artistic and lighting illumination here this morning. So first off, let's mention what really got you into this field and into exploring the creativity behind lighting and the clients that you worked with.
You know, it's interesting. My middle name happens to be Merlin, and I have a lot of people ask me, how did they know? How did your parents know? Actually, my father is Merlin Johnson, and he is one of the premier early lighting design professionals back in San Francisco in the 50s and 60s. And so we kind of merged in after college into a family company called Artistic Lighting, and we provided architectural lighting design, but also did the contracting and the installation as well. So our experience has been varied, but that's really, now there is course study on lighting design, but back then it was Merlin and his tutelage that allowed us to get where we are today.
That's amazing. It's a family business.
It started out as a family business,
All
yes.
right, that's so wonderful. Mention some of the companies and clients. I guess you can call your list of clients almost the who's who of who we know in America almost. Give me a couple of examples.
Been doing architectural lighting design for 30 years. Started in the San Francisco Bay Area, then down to Southern California. And Southern California, of course, Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Santa Barbara, the top movers and shakers in the client world. We've done a lot of film individuals artistically illuminating their homes.
Well, you mentioned before, it's interesting how they're masters of light and the whole cinematic experience almost, but they want you to come into their home and help them really make things look spectacular in the way that you do.
The living environment is a whole different venue for illumination rather than film and studio.
That's right. Very good. Well, how would you describe what it is that you provide to our audience?
Well, there's a quote that I'd like to read here that's really kind of patterned my firm after, and it's by an author, William A. Foster, and he states, and I love this, that quality is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent direction. And if you think about that quality never being an accident, and particularly as it relates to custom residential world, the owners seek out a very talented architect, interior designer, and landscape architect to achieve the quality to enhance the built environment, how they live in that home. And there really is, I believe, for the last 30 years, a fourth design team member that is critical to the success, and that is the professional lighting designer. And so what we do at Adaptive Design Group is we're an integral member with those 4 team members, and we artistically illuminate the architecture, working with the team, the interiors, and the landscape architecture through the proper selection and placement and control of lighting products.
That's fantastic. Well, we have this first image we wanted to share. This is just, gosh, the beginning of all we're going to share this morning. These are such beautiful image. Can you tell me a little bit about this?
Well, here's a perfect example of quality not being an accident. Obviously, the owner selected the team to pull off this beautiful environment, but you can see the that the lighting is hidden. It is behind the scenes. It looks like the decorative elements that are performing all the wonderful lighting effects, when the reality of it's hidden cove lighting, small apertures in the ceiling. It's the layers of illumination that add the drama to this space.
Glenn, why is your approach to lighting so different from, say, interior designers, architects, builders, and the whole electrical contractors process? What makes you unique from
Well,
that?
we actually have a very serious process that we've articulated. If a lighting designer is not included in the design team up front, then unfortunately most of the lighting happens in the field during the framing, during construction, where the general contractor calls a meeting with the design team, the architect, the interior designer, and says, we need to define the lighting in the home. And I call this method the 4-5-6 method, because in the world out there today, there's 4-inch recessed cans, 5-inch recessed cans, and 6-inch recessed cans. And the builders walks room to room with the design team and the electrical contractor taking notes, because there's no plans, and says, what do you want to do in this room? Well, I want 4-inch lights over here, 5-inch lights over here, and give me some 6-inch lights in this area. The builder's saying to the electrical contractor, did you get what they just said? And then the interior designer says, well, I need a wall sconce over here, don't forget, and a pendant fixture, and I think I'm going to put a floor lamp in this area, but I'm not exactly sure where. And so it's really a hit and miss process. It's very unfortunate that a custom home gets built under those conditions, because there are lighting professionals such as Adaptive Design Group to articulate all those elements and not put that pressure on the electrical contractor to go find product without specifications.
Glenn, you mentioned that, or the idea behind what you do is that lighting is kind of a layers process. We have
Yes.
an image, I think, that we want to share with you that has to do with that layers process. So so you just kind of went through this. Tell me about this whole structure of adaptive design.
So the name you recognize, the adaptive method, is an acronym, and that happens to be the name of my company that I developed for 8 layers of illumination. And we approach every project. This image in this photo is really good too, because you can see all these layers. But with the adaptive process, there's the architecture layer. That's how we beautify the architecture. We have the decorative lighting. Then we look at the art illumination, where the artwork's going to go. We add the path lighting, the task, the interior decoration. So we're lighting the coffee tables, hutches, armoires. We need to know where all that goes. And then view, to draw your eye through the window, and ultimately E is exterior. So this is a real logical but yet very artistic layering process that every one of our clients gets and understands.
And then speaking of your clients, tell me about the typical client that you work with.
Well, our typical client is the end users, is usually the owner, but we are on a lot of teams brought in by the architects to and the interior designers to round out that modern design team. And that's really what I've been professing for 30 years. You know, the lighting designer is a critical element to the design team.
What is it about your whole lighting design process that really captivates the homeowner or the person that walks into that hall or down that hall into that room and they think, wow, this is spectacular? What is it about that?
Well, it is very, if lighting design is done properly, it is very magical. It's, as I mentioned, hidden lighting sources, cove lighting, accent lighting, art illumination, all these layers coming together, coupled with a sophisticated lighting control system, and that's where the magic really begins. And after 30 years of doing homes all over the world, we have a portfolio that is extensive, and there's probably not any kind of structure we haven't been involved in, meaning mountain contemporary to traditional, you know, Beverly Hills homes to penthouses in New York.
Glenn, take us through a couple of these. We were just showing a large structure on the ledge. This next one, what is this?
This is a project actually in Glenwild, right here in Park City area. And we worked very heavily with a serious architect out of the East Coast that developed this, where we integrated the decorative fixtures in with the art lighting. We have a Merlin art framing projector on that painting over the fireplace. It just lights the canvas. We have intricate cove lighting that you can see that is illuminating the ceiling. And then the lights in the ceiling are, the apertures are under 2 inches and they're painted out. So you should never enter into a space and notice the lighting, because if you do, somebody's made a mistake.
Wow. I love that whole approach to it. Tell me about this image.
Another example, this is out in Atherton, California, technology owner's home, where the same thing, we worked intimately with the architect on detailing the cove lighting to illuminate that beautiful ceiling, which is the focal point of the entire house. This is the front entry into the great room. They also have a tremendous art collection that we've illuminated as well. Painted out lighting sources. You don't see any of the lights in the ceiling. Everything is hidden.
Wonderful. You mentioned, we kind of touched on a little bit on art illumination. What are the options for new and existing homes?
Well, art illumination is very serious, depending on the quality of the product. Mm-hmm. The ultimate and most dramatic way to illuminate a piece of art is with the Merlin light. And the Merlin light is a precision optical framing projector that we have the ability to frame the canvas in illumination, not the mat, not the frame, not the wall.
How does that apply to what we're seeing here?
That the emerald green piece is a perfect example. This is up in Deer Valley. We do a lot of lighting renovations. This is a lighting renovation for a client who is also a world-renowned artist. And so in illuminating her pieces, she wanted to utilize the Merlin light, which you can see that emerald piece just glowing. It is perfectly framed and even illumination.
That does amazing things to that room. That's spectacular.
It transformed the home.
Exactly. Wonderful. Well, Glenn, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to talk more about your company as well as some options for you guys and the changes that we've seen within lighting over the past little while. We'll be right back.
Terrific.
Welcome back to the show. I'm with Glenn Johnson with Adaptive Design Group. We're continuing our discussion about lighting design and the beauty that it truly brings to that special space that you literally and really just want to light up. So let's talk about some of these light fixtures. First off, we've seen some changes. Tell me about these 3 we see up here.
Well, this is excellent. Back in the 1970s, this was the primary lamp source. That's why the apertures were so small in the recessed lighting. 150 watts. These don't really exist anymore. Then we went in the 1980s, early 80s, to the MR16 lighting source. This MR16 source, 50 watts, from 150 to 50 watts. Mm-hmm. And then this is an LED 9.5 watts that now replaces the MR16.
So this is the one that you see mostly now, not this one anymore,
well,
right?
This is the one we hope to see in every residence because of the energy efficiency, the color, temperature. It's magnificent.
Wow, spectacular. All right, well, we got a lot of great things lit up here. Let's talk about this one first. What are we looking at?
So this is this is a product called Dreamscape Lighting, and it's utilizing the new LED lamp technology. So we're getting the same amount of illumination out of this is becoming old school now, MR16, to this lamp. This is a recessed series. It's just a large housing, small aperture. We can do square trims as well.
What would something like this be used for in the home?
This be used for art accent lighting, path lighting, task lighting, if you remember the adaptive method,
yes.
All those layers. But what we want to do is keep the apertures as small as possible, hidden and painted out.
All right, well, up next we have these lighting strips right here. Tell me about those.
So these lighting strips, this is an LED lighting system. These are for under cabinet lighting, cove lighting, all of that. You see 2 different color temperatures in a warmer color, 3000 K to 2700 Kelvin temperature. LED lighting is very popular today, but most important must be the color rendering properties.
Wow. All right, well, this one out of all the things we have up here really sticks out to me. The lighting that we have under this piece. Is that stone or marble?
This is a stone countertop material that we worked with the design team on. LED board that we can utilize in any size and shape to backlight stone.
Wow.
So you can see
so
how
many
that's
great things. I can just see that in a space, how much that would just really add to that. Give us an example of where in the home we would want to have that specifically.
We've done a wall of this in Newport Beach with a sculpture in front.
Wow.
So we lit the sculpture with the Merlin light. We backlit or silhouetted the sculpture with an entire wall illuminated
That is amazing.
subtly. And this is all fully dimmable, so you can set your settings exactly the way you need in the lighting design.
Well, let's talk about this really quickly, this platform that we have there. This gives us some different ideas of how to adjust the lightings, depending on what room you're in.
Well, my opinion is that the lighting professional really needs to design an intricate lighting control system. We've talked about all the layers of lighting. You don't want standard switches on the wall. You're not going to have any room for art or furniture. So low voltage lighting control or integrated control is critical, and having logic to the button presses. So on, off, raise, lower of those. This is in the bedroom, for instance.
I see you have one there like for reading, an accent light.
Right, the reading light is specifically on his or her side where it could be dimmed for reading, and that comes from the ceiling. The accent is the artistic level for the space. So logic is critical because grandma, kids, house guests are coming over. This has to be intimately integrated into the design process early up front with the design team.
And it really simplifies it completely for the homeowner, I'm sure. Well, we have two last items here. These are more for landscaping purposes, would you say?
Yes, this is a new product, about a year old. It's actually called Park City Lights. And this is wonderful dark sky path lighting, bollard lighting for the landscaping grounds, for driveways. The LED lamp is up in the lid, and the patterns are just magnificent. These are the small versions. We can go all the way up to 80.
You mentioned the patterns. I can kind of see that around the base here. I wonder how we should turn off the lights and see what it looks like. I would. I don't know if that'd look good on TV.
I'll bring it to your house.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Yeah, those are beautiful. Tell me about the last one we have there on the corner.
Pattern. This is actually a wood timber frame, so mountain properties. This is real wood. This is not. None of this is plastic. This will all withhold the harsh conditions of every environment. So again, just a decorative lantern. You don't see this in the path lighting world in landscaping. Usually it's a tulip or a little pagoda, but this is a robust, beautiful architectural landscape lighting product.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you were able to bring in these examples. It really puts it more in your mind what you can see in your home and the changes that have happened in the lighting design industry. I wanted to mention real quick, you do have a photo in terms of landscape lighting that I wanted to share. If we can toss that up real quick. How important is landscape lighting, Glenn?
Well, it is the E of adaptive. If you remember, the E is the exterior, and doing proper color rendering properties with the landscape illumination is critical because the landscaping becomes an extension of the home. Once your eye draws through with the view illumination, your eye needs to land on beautiful landscape illumination. And you can see in this photo, there's this actual bollard that is doing the path lighting. So up lighting. We've also written dark sky code lighting for the colony right here in Park City. So the code that everybody has to adhere to is our dark sky code.
That's
and
wonderful.
Landscape falls heavily into that, obviously.
Well, Glenn, I wish we had more time. We'll have to bring you back on again to talk more about lighting design because it's an intricate field. So many things that we're unaware of that can really add to that space. Glenn, thank you so much
Chelsea,
for joining
very
us
much.
here this morning. If our viewers are interested in getting in touch with you, how do they go about doing that?
AdaptiveDG.com is my website. So ADAPTIVEDG for designgroup.com.
Excellent. Very good. Well, thank you for your time here this morning. We appreciate it. We'll be right back after this quick break. We'll be speaking with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Don't go away.